I eat breakfast 300 yards from 4,000 Cubans who are trained to kill me, so don't think for 1 second that you can come down here, flash a badge, and make me nervous.
Did you know that 9 out of 10 bicycle accidents are caused by humans?
I asked people who knew how to ride bikes.
How do you know this? You're only 14.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not something you want to do.
Hi, welcome to Comedy Parenting Radio. My name's Jerry Begley, and this is the show that sprays fabric softener on our pants before we go to church. We want to give a big shout out to our listeners in Israel, Belize, and Fiji.
I really do like that water from Fiji.
Oh yeah? Wait till you take a digger off your surfboard in Fiji and get a lungful. Then you won't like their water so much.
What's the topic today, Dad?
Why don't you spin the wheel, Josiah, and we'll find out, okay?
Shifting gears?
I guess we'll talk about shifting gears. We'll be right back.
Comedy Parenting Radio.
Well, Earl grabbed on the shifter and he stabbed her into fifth gear, and then the chromium-plated, fully illuminated, genuine accessory shift knob come right off in his hand. I says, "You want to screw that thing back on, Earl?"
Hi, welcome back to Comedy Parenting Radio. We're talking about shifting gears.
What kind of gears?
We're going to talk about all kinds of shifting gears, okay? Why don't we start with one of the simplest ones, bicycles?
Oh yeah, that's very simple. You just press a lever.
It's supposed to be simple.
Most of the time.
No, it's not. I had a 21-speed road bike, Nishiki. Ooh, baby, that thing was nice. And I had it for several years, and I could not figure out how to shift the gears properly.
What was the issue?
The end where the pedals are, that had 3 sprockets.
Yes.
The back had 7 sprockets.
Yes.
7 times 3 is, carry the 1, 21 speeds.
Do you ever carry anything other than one?
21 speeds. I asked people who knew how to ride bikes, should I go from the first big sprocket and go through all 7 gears and then go to the number 2 sprocket? Or should I go from the first sprocket there by the pedal and then go from 1 and then to 2 and then go back to the middle sprocket of the front and then back to the first sprocket of the big? Is that the better way to go? In other words, is there an overlap?
What?
Sorry,
I think the reason why you never got a good answer for that is because they couldn't understand what you were trying to explain.
I couldn't tell if the first front sprocket was only 1 step lower than the second front sprocket with the first gear of the back in, or you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
but the thing is, you have to take the first front sprocket and include the 7th third sprocket on the third Hilbert inclusive ramp.
Oh, and remember to add in this real quality Mastodon grease.
It just wasn't working.
I've switched bike gears before, both on a motorbike and a bike.
Oh, let's talk motorcycle gears.
Yeah.
How many gears on an average dirt bike?
4.
3.
2.
1.
Neutral.
How come some people only use 1 gear on their dirt bike?
Maybe they want to go slow?
I think they want to go slow.
Or maybe they want to go fast.
They don't go very fast in the first gear. Look, if you are really good at shifting gears on a dirt bike or a road bike, you can do some amazing things.
Can?
Yeah, for example, I'm on my dirt bike and I do a horseshoe climb where you go way up the hill, but it gets so steep that you're not going to go out the top, so you turn and go back down. Now you have 2 choices. 3, really. 4. You can pull the clutch in and coast down, which is a really, really bad idea.
How so?
You're coasting down the hill, out of control. Number 2, you can downshift to a lower gear so you hopefully don't go willy-nilly back down the steep hill.
Okay.
Or you can shift to a higher gear, and it's kind of like coasting, but you're in a gear, and you're allowed to go fast. But you know what the determining factor is?
What?
If there's a ditch at the bottom.
Yeah, I'd say.
Some hill climbs have ditches at the bottom.
When I first switched dirt bike gear, it was weird. I had to go from neutral to first because I was just learning how to ride a motorbike, and it was fun. Except for the very first time I learned how to ride a motorbike, I was bouncing up and down, and I eventually had to just ditch the motorbike.
I'd like to point out that the motorcycle he rides, where we go out in the desert, has ditches that are 10 feet high.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to go over the edge.
When I first started riding a motorcycle, I didn't know that you were supposed to switch gears on going down a hill as compared to going up. So I'd go up a hill, and then I'd go down it in the same gear, and I would slide like crazy. It was the scariest thing in the world.
I'm learning to fly, but I ain't got wings. Coming down is the hardest thing.
Comedy.
Parenting.
Radio.
If you trust your rebel heart, ride into battle. Don't be afraid. Take the road less traveled. Wear out your boots and kick up the gravel.
Speaking of bikes and motorbikes and bicycles and motorbikes, when I first got a bicycle that switched gears, it was actually quite fun because some of the gears, they actually make you have to not pedal as much, and it just kind of greases up the wheels and gives you the hoagly mogly grease, and you just are on your way.
It greases the wheels as you pedal?
No, but it feels like it's like being lubricated like every second.
Faster, 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 faster.
I must make sense that this was on Mackinac Island, like the King Island of bicycles.
You know, when I was about 5 years old, I was trying to figure out what would be the best way to have the least amount of resistance pedaling. So my uncle sat down and tried to get me to figure out for hours that if you have a smaller gear in the front and a larger gear in the back, you're going to pedal more times, but it's not going to turn the back wheel as much. So you're not going to go as far, but it's not going to be as hard. And pretty much the exact opposite of that.
Is this one of your engineering uncles?
I believe so.
I'd like to point out one more thing, and that is, as I was growing up, the only bicycle I had to ride was a single-speed Schwinn my entire life, all the way through high school.
Ooh.
I got to ride Mark Drudge's 3-speed bike one time.
Right now, we're in the second gear of the show.
I tell you, it's only 3 gears on this whole show. It's easy.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you should mention single-speed bicycles, because I've been on single-speed bicycles for pretty much my entire life, too. You see, our family, we have multiple bicycles because we have multiple kids of different sizes.
And lots of friends who think we have lots of kids, so we need lots of bicycles, so they give us lots of junk bicycles. Yeah, we actually were given
a lot of bicycles.
We have more junk bicycles per capita at our house than anybody else in the country.
The only problem is not a single one of them works, so we actually need bikes.
Yeah.
At any rate, I've been on a single-speed pedalback bicycle for most of my life, and you know what's the best thing you can do with one of those?
Throw it in the trash can? Ride it around downtown Crested Butte?
No, but you can do a skid stop with it.
How?
You just find a hill, you go down it screaming fast. The hill should probably not be too slippery, but it also shouldn't be super grippy either. So you go down this hill screaming fast, and then at the bottom you just pedal back as hard as you can and turn your wheel or turn your handlebars, and you just come to a skidding stop.
Or the bicycle goes out from underneath you.
That's true. Do you know that 9 out of 10 bicycle accidents are with skidding accidents?
Did you know that 9 out of 10 bicycle accidents are caused by humans? That means 9 out of 10 bicycle accidents can be prevented. Don't ride bicycles, folks.
That 10% would have to be things like squirrels.
I worked with a guy this summer who had a squirrel run through his bicycle spokes, and he flipped.
What happened to the guy?
He woke up on the concrete, and that's after wearing a helmet. Actually, that's while wearing a helmet.
You know, speaking of pedalback bicycles, do you know what's the worst part about a pedalback bicycle?
What?
It doesn't have gears. Do you know why that's a bad thing?
Why?
You have to be pedaling all the time. You can never stop pedaling.
What are you talking about?
You can never stop pedaling. If you stop pedaling, then the brakes will kick in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
What kind of bike
No, it
is
doesn't.
this, folks? This is what happens when we get junk bicycles from people, and you stop pedaling and the brakes kick in. That's the kind of stuff that we get.
I don't want another heartbreak. I don't need another turn to cry. No, I don't want to learn the hard way. Baby, hello. Oh, no.
Sure, humans can be a little weird at times, but take it from me, I'm a dog. And a person is about the best thing that can happen to a shelter pet. So if you want to learn how you can be that person, get down to your local pet shelter or visit theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Comedy Parenting Radio.
Now, the thing is about shifting gears, what really is amazing to me is that with a vehicle, it's a great mystery to youngsters these days.
Yep.
And we'll say youngsters as anybody younger than me. Because you have cars that are automatic versus cars that are manual. There are not a lot of people who are driving manual cars these days.
Did you know that most tanks are manual?
No.
No, my eyes, they burn.
Get back to your stations. This is kind of the crux of the show right here.
Yep.
Okay? So with automatic cars, obviously step on the gas, step on the brake, and go. You put it in the gear you want. With manuals, you have to shift the gear. What do you have to do to shift a gear?
Pushing the clutch, push.
Elijah's my newest up-and-coming driver. What do you have to do to shift a manual car?
You have to push in the clutch, put it in the gear that you want, and then slowly let back on the clutch.
What about the brake? What about the gas?
Well, you should probably let off the gas when you're switching gears.
And when do you put the gas back on?
You do a little bit while you're letting the clutch out.
Wait, how do you know this? You're only 14.
I actually have no idea what I'm talking about.
He's only. I think it's a very good idea to start, if you're going to have your kids drive a stick, that you should have them start with a motorcycle.
It'd be nicer to drive a motorcycle than to drive a stick. I learned to shift gears on tractors.
Tractors.
Old farm tractors, International H, International C. For those of you who know the 1940s era tractors that we used when I was a kid.
You never drove one of the foreign tractors?
No, I never drove a foreign tractor.
No internationals or international Zeds for you?
But when you shift gears, you had to stop. Had to come to a complete stop.
Why was that?
Because they were not synchro-meshed. They were not made to shift gears while you're moving, so it would grind the gears.
Oof. That's not something you want to do.
The only reason you wanted to go faster was to plow faster or plow slower, depending what you're trying to do. And you might have had maybe 5 gears type thing.
Yeah.
However, there was one trick.
What?
Road gear.
Road gear?
Road gear was number 4. And if you got out onto the road and you're in 3rd gear, which was about 6 miles an hour, and you wanted to go 14 miles an hour, you would put it in road gear. And if you were really clever, you could pop it out of 3rd gear and just barely grind the gears and pop it into 4th gear while you're moving. We felt like we were driving sports cars.
The Ken Block of tractors.
Yes, I am the Ken Block of tractor driving. You want to make a farm kid feel like he's driving a sports car? Let him go out on the highway with a farm tractor. And now we come to the esoteric part of the show.
What does esoteric mean?
I don't know. It just sounds good. And that is proverbially shifting gears. It's a metaphor.
A metaphor?
What's a metaphor?
To keep cows in.
So you're in a meeting, and the person who's leading the meeting says, now let's shift gears. And if you drive an automatic car all the time, you won't know how to shift gears with them.
Yeah. What do you do? What are you going to do then?
You're going to sit there going the same speed in the meeting while they go a different speed.
Mm-hmm.
Faster, slower, different, whatever. They're going to be in road gear, and you're going to be in 3rd gear.
Yep. Always 1 gear behind.
It could be my autobiography.
That's a good autobiography title.
1 gear behind.
A memoir of Jerry Bigley's life.
Oh, the producer is giving us the high sign to wrap up the show.
And throw it in the diaper pail.
Okay, you've been listening to Comedy Parenting Radio, Shifting Gears. Thanks for coming up in the studio, gang.
You know, we've been shifting gears all day long.
Before you guys go,
Yeah?
would you get some of that bicycle grease that Josiah was talking about? Just smear it all over the pedals.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Dad, we finally hit road gear.